Hi Year 7s, what we're going to be doing today is carrying on with our work of Greek theatre. So the first task you would need to complete is from the work that you started last week on narration. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you complete the work. So I'm just going to go through it again. So you need to write down the definition of narration. So the telling of a story or describing what is happening in a scene as it is being acted out. So if you've not written this definition down, can you pause the video here and copy this down for me? The next is to watch this example of narration. I'm going to play it now. So this is a scene from Blood Brothers and there's a bit of a narration, and the narrator is the man in the black suit, and then you're going to be asking or answering these questions after. So I'm just going to play it now for you.
Have you ever heard the story of the Johnston twins? As like each other as two new pins, of one womb born on the self-same day, how one was kept and one given away. Did you never hear how the Johnstons died, never knowing they shared one name until the day they died, when a mother cried, "My own dear sons lie slain"? And did you never hear the mother so cruel there's a stone in place of her heart? So bring her on and judge for yourselves how she came to play this part.
So that is the example of the narration. So the narrator is the man in the black suit. If you wanted to re-watch it, you can just go back a little bit on this video. But you need to answer these three questions on the right. So number one, who did the narrator speak to when he was talking? Number two, what was the pace of his voice like? Was it fast or was it slow? And number three, what was he talking about in his speech? Okay, so you can stop and pause the video here just to answer those three questions. But like I said, if you want to go back and rewatch that video, just go back a little bit on this video. So now what you're going to do is to analyse the narration in the video. So I'm going to break it down on how you can analyse it. So to analyse something, it means that you identify what's happened, you explain it, and you justify it, okay? So explain why they did it. So to be able to complete these, we've done some sentence starters for you. So if you look on the bottom, it says there, you will fill in the red dots with words that would fit the sentence and answer the question. So the narrator used the vocal skills blank and did blank with his body language. So you're identifying it. So for instance, you could say the narrator used a slow pace and did stand still with his body language, for example, okay? So that sentence starter is just there to help you, but all you have to do is just put some words in the red dots or where the red dots are to make it make sense. Number two, they had a narrator in this scene because. So why do you think they had a narrator in this scene? So think back to why they need a narrator, or why a narrator would be used in a scene. Why would they use a narrator in, for instance, Greek theatre? Okay, why would they use a narrator for the audience? And the last one is the effect on the audience from the narrator's performance is. So what is the effect on the audience from having this narrator? So you could say the effect on the audience from the narrator's performance, it could be them being more aware of the story. It could be to create a different type of effect or the themes of the play. So Pause the video here and I would like you to answer those 3 for me. So you should have a total of 3 sentences which talks about the narration. So once you have done that, you are now going to move on to lesson 7. So today we'll be looking at how we can enhance the movement and physicality of our work to make it more effective and engaging for the audience. So as you can see here, we've got some examples of a TV or film director and a choreographer. So movement and physicality, choreographers, they create a lot of movements for musical theatres, for drama pieces, but also dance pieces. So being able to be aware of your movement is really important to be able to teach other people the movements on stage. And also a TV or film director, there will be movements that are really important for you to direct other people. So you need to be really self-aware of what things can look like on stage. So you've got the lesson outcomes here. So the first one is to take part in each workshop and help your group to add new techniques with acting skills and performing a character that is different from me. The second one is to take on a slightly bigger role with more techniques, be confident with your acting and have appropriate characterization. Number 3 is perform each technique with focus, staying in character and using a range of vocal elements such as pace, pause and volume like we've talked about previously. And you can use at least 3 or more dramatic techniques in your work appropriately with imaginative and effective characterization. That is number 4. So task 2 is to complete the tasks that are in this lesson. I will tell you in this video where to pause to complete the tasks in the video, just to make it easier for you to follow. So the first thing is to write down this definition of physical theatre. So physical theatre is using your body as props to create images and tell a story through movement, mime and dance. So I'd like you to pause the video here and write that down for me. So the next one, we're going to watch a quick example of physical theatre and how it can be used in the classroom. So I'd like you to just watch this video for me. Make sure your sound is all the way up.
Okay, let's make a 4 over here. Let's make a 4 over here. Let's make a 3 over here. And jump up, you like, jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up. You have 10 seconds just by using your bodies. You have 10 seconds just by using your bodies to make a tennis racket. A tennis racket.
Give me the pointy bit.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And stop making the tennis rackets. I'm not sure what this is. Not particularly round, but that's a ball. Very good. I'd say if I was going to play tennis this afternoon, I probably wouldn't use this one, to be fair. I think the one I'd use, I probably would use one with a ball. It's you! Okay.
So as you can see there, the teacher asked the students in their groups to create a tennis racket with their bodies, okay? So that is an example of physical theatre. So instead of finding a tennis racket to use as a prop, you know, you have to think about when you use a prop on stage. You have to think about who's going to use it, when they're going to use it, where it's going to be, when it's off stage, and props can go missing and can get damaged. So what he's asked people to do is create a tennis racket and show it in their bodies, okay? So there are many different things and different props or different situations where you'd use your physical theatre. A lot of the times, instead of having a wall on stage, you would have actors all stand in a line to represent a wall. They could represent different animals, they could represent houses. This makes it so much easier than having to do all these different set changes. But it's really important that if you are creating an item like a tennis racket, that you stand still on the stage. So I would like you to answer this question for me. So why is getting the body language right important when doing physical theatre? So think about what you just watched in that video. So why is it important to get your body language right when using physical theatre? Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video here and answer this question for me. Right, so now we're going to move on to a practical task with physical theatre. So as you can see on the left in pink, there is a chorus script. So the script on the left is the narration the Greek chorus do when describing the audience what is happening in between the battle between Haemon and Polynices, which they both die as a result. So this is a portion of script from Antigone. So it's based on one of the sections behind it where Haemon and Polynices battle and they both die. So what you need to do is, first off, read the script on the left of the chorus in Antigone. So I'd like you to read that for me. You can read it out loud as well. And then the second thing you need to do is imagine you are in the classroom and I ask you to choose 2 lines where you need to create a freeze frame to show what is happening. I would like you to draw out the freeze frames either on paper or on paint on the computer. So for example, I've done an example here of the first line. So the first line is, we heard his shout of triumph high in the air. So as you can see on the bottom right, I've done a bit of an example. I've used paint to draw some 3 stick man, and then I've got one person that said, we did it victory. So that just does a bit of a freeze frame to show what the body language would be like for the characters, okay? So I would like you to choose 2 lines on either of the chorus lines, and I would like you to draw a picture of how you would do it as a freeze frame, okay? So like I said, you can do it on paper or paint. If you are struggling with this, please ask your teacher for help. But for instance, when it says we heard his shout of triumph in the air, as you can see, triumph is something like victory when you've achieved something. So that's why I've got a speech bubble of the man saying we did it victory. I've got him waving his hands up in the air to show that he is shouting, and I've got hands up in the air for the 2 other people to show that they are shocked by it. So just make sure that you are focusing on the body language behind it. So just a bit of a reminder to make sure that any work you have done this lesson to submit it to your teacher either on Teams or to email it to your teacher. And also make sure you attach your work when you submit your work on the assignment and don't just click turn in. As always, if you have any questions, please let your teacher know and they'll be happy to answer it for you.